Dear Diary, thankfully off the back of that poor effort against Man City, we got back on track away at Brighton, coming back after conceding early to grab an injury time winner to get up 2-1. That means we are 5th on the table as we head into a busy December, which includes games at home against Giants, Liverpool and Man U. Hopefully we can grab points around those games, otherwise we might be in for a slight drop down the table. Meanwhile, now it is Crystal Palace who are interested in our managerial services, and it looks like Lopetegui is ditching Leicester for West Ham. I'm still happy at Cardiff, but the projects available are steadily getting a bit more tempting. Until next time. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 60 of FMOE here on Shaun Does FM with Cardiff City. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we play two big games in a busy month of December. First off we take on Liverpool, and then off the back of travelling to take on Fulham and Aston Villa off camera away from home, then we will come back and also host Manchester United. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as you saw during that intro, we have just played the one game since yesterday's episode where we took on both Chelsea and Manchester City. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. Thankfully, we did come from behind to pick up a 2-1 win away at Brighton. That was off the back of conceding a sloppy, very early goal, but thankfully then a corner through Charlie Higgins and Jacques off the bench with an assist from Rails did make sure that we did come away with all 3 points from that one, and that does mean that we are still up there near the top end of the table in 5th place, and we do have the chance here potentially to get a gap on a team like Chelsea, with this being a game in hand, albeit, as I said, our December schedule is a little bit tough, including the two games that we are showing you guys today in Liverpool and Manchester United. And while that has been going on, Crystal Palace now after our managerial services potentially. That is off the back of their previous manager leaving them for Brentford, as we did see during yesterday's episode. Bit of a funny move, that one, going from a team in 12th to a team down in the relegation zone. And also the Leicester City job could become available very shortly as well, because Julian Lopetegui is awaiting a work permit to join West Ham, yet again going to a team a lot further down the table. I would say Leicester would probably be the most intriguing team that would have come knocking on our door so far since we have joined Cardiff City. But for now, as I said in the intro, quite happy with how we are doing here at Cardiff City and with a squad that we are used to. So even if they do come knocking, I do think that we are likely to stay at Cardiff City the way that we are currently going, albeit things could change just a little bit during the course of today's episode if we do go on a poor run of form, because this does look like a tough month, as I said. And first up, we do take on Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool, hopefully going as poorly in game as they are in real life, albeit as a actual Liverpool fan in real life. Not too happy to be saying that, but they are currently 8th on the Premier League tables, not even doing that well in game either. We are above them, so at home maybe this could be a game where we do get the better of them, albeit you can see there on the right hand side they do still have a lot of their key players from current times in the year 2027, so it is going to be tough to get one over on the likes of Van Dijk, Robertson and Mohamed Salah. So we'll see how we do get on in this first game of today's episode, and no injury concerns either going into this one to any of our regular first teamers. So we'll come back shortly with team sheets and see if we can pick up any points from Cardiff City Stadium against Liverpool. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. In terms of our starting 11, this is our best one available, so going all guns blazing here against Liverpool. But on the bench, Renato Tomic does come in for Zachariah Ziani. There are Liverpool, as you can see, looking a little bit different to what we did expect before by those players who are still at the club and captaining the club, the likes of Salah, Van Dijk and Robertson. Not too many of those players in that lineup, so maybe they are taking us slightly here away from home. So hopefully we can do something and maybe continue to stay up there on the Premier League table, albeit a very early highlight here. And we do give away possession, which does give Liverpool a chance here to do something on the counter-attack. Harvey Elliott from a tight angle. I think Sato got a hand to that, and then McGuinness clears that off of the line. So thankfully, that keeps it 0-0 for now, albeit now Tsimikas has a throw-in, and Liverpool keep this one right on the edge of the box. Fabinho passes that one back to Todibo, and now Jure that is out on the right-hand side for the Reds, and we are just putting a bit of pressure on them here, and they are having to retreat all the way back to Alisson Becker, back out to Todibo, but thankfully looks like we might have stemmed this attack for just a little while, and hopefully might even be able to win the ball back and do something on the counter-attack ourselves. And Marco Brun here with a chance, but unfortunately he misses the target. So one decent chance now for both teams, but still 0-0 at the 3-minute mark. And yet another highlight in this one, so it could be an entertaining affair between Liverpool and Cardiff here in Wales. And Ibanez plays that one over for Jamal Musiala. Good chance here for Bejo, but that is a good save there from Sato in goal. And I think that does it for the early highlights. Still 0-0, just past the 5-minute mark. And we go forward about 10 minutes off the back of that opening flurry. It's now a free kick here for Liverpool, but thankfully we do clear that one away, albeit it is Musiala here who is in possession. Plays this one for Jure on the edge of the box now. Curtis Jones, El Bloshy puts him under good pressure, and we might get a chance here to do something again on the counter-attack. Sully finds himself in space down this left-hand side. Plays this one forward to El Bloshy. Can he square it? It's a bit poor. That's a bit of a butchered chance there as he goes for Dominguez instead of Blun, and still 0-0 coming up to the 15-minute mark. And shortly off the back of that big chance down the other end, it's now a free kick to Liverpool. Harvey Elliott here from a similar spot to before. Thankfully, Sato makes a save there with a little bit of help from the woodwork, and Musiala puts the ball into the mix there. It does go out for a Liverpool corner. We'll encourage the boys to see if that will stop this highlight. Unfortunately, it won't, so might be a chance here from set piece, but thankfully Quezada does head that one away, albeit Harvey Elliott on the attack, and that is a top save from Sato to make sure that one does not find the bottom right corner. There is some goal line technology from the previous free kick, albeit don't think that one was too close, and that is that highlight done. So still 0-0 at the 20-minute mark. And 5 minutes off the back of that previous highlight, yet again we give away a free kick here in a dangerous area. This one right in front of goal for Harvey Elliott, who puts that top left corner with his left foot. It's his first goal of the season, as is usually the case in Football Manager. And to be fair, there has been a goal coming in this game, but it has been quite a to-and-fro game so far. But unfortunately, ill discipline gives Liverpool a chance there, and they put it away and grab a 1-0 lead. And it is half-time in the first game of today's episode. Not much happening in the second part of that first half, but up until that goal through Harvey Elliott, quite a to-and-fro game, but unfortunately that free kick does mean that Liverpool do head into the sheds with a 1-0 lead. And despite the fact we created some decent chances, somehow our XG only 0.08. Thought it might have been a bit higher with the highlights that we did get shown, but definitely need a little bit of improvement in the second half. And there are some players out there on yellow cards and average ratings. So Jacques can come on for Sully. Also in for Ben Hardy, 2 players on yellow cards. And Marco Blunt as well on a 6.4. We'll see if Renato Tomic can do something off of the bench in his first game in the Premier League. But we will get things back underway. 1-0 down here against Liverpool. And only 5 minutes into the second half, we do have our first highlight here. It is a throw-in deep inside our own half, but thankfully for now, we do keep hold of possession. Sato hoofs this deep, and Tomic somewhat gets him behind. What a strike from Renato Tomic. He beats Alisson, and only 5 minutes into his Premier League first team debut, he grabs a goal, and that could be a big moment in this one. Somehow Liverpool's defence there missed the header. It's a very FM23 thing. That shot not quite in the bottom right corner, but still beats Alisson from well outside the box, and just like that, all square at 1-1. And 15 minutes off the back of that equaliser, it is now a free kick here for Liverpool inside the final third. Elliott puts that one towards the far post. We don't deal with it. Ibanez here plays it back to Harvey Elliott. It's well worked there from Liverpool. he finds a little bit of space inside the box after coming in from taking that free kick. He grabs a double, of course, after not scoring until this game this season, and that makes it 2-1 with just over 20 minutes left in this one. Some good work there inside the box, and it's a good finish there just inside that far post, and that does mean that Liverpool will retake their lead. And while we are here, there are a few players down to red hearts as well as on average ratings. I think the poorest of those are El Bloshy and Dominguez, so Joe Rels will come on for El Bloshy, and Mikel can come on for Dominguez. That's all of our subs used at 2-1 with 20 minutes left. And while we are here, we will chuck Farias onto attack as well. And before that substitution can even take place, there is another highlight starting here, and we somehow get on the attack, albeit Liverpool do cut that one out. But Timber, a bit sloppy on the ball, and Farias tries to put that top right corner just over the bar, so it remains 2-1 Liverpool. And a few minutes off the back of that chance for us to grab an equaliser, we might have another one here. It's a throw-in near enough to inside the final third. Goodmanson there does his man quite nicely to get inside there, puts the ball into the mixer, but unfortunately Liverpool do clear their lines and might get a chance here. Diogo Jota starts to make his way through our defence, plays that one back to Costa Simicas on a yellow card, plays this one forward for Diogo Jota. We'll find Curtis Jones on the edge of the box, volleys that one bottom right corner, and that might be all she wrote for this one. 12 minutes left, and we are now 2 goals down thanks to a good strike from Curtis Jones off the back with a good counter-attack from Liverpool. Jota puts that one into the mix and near enough to the penalty spot. Mexado looks like he gets a hand on that, but unfortunately can't quite keep it out, and that makes it 3-1 with 12 minutes left. And just inside the last 5 minutes of this one now, we are still 2 goals down. We have chucked our boys onto a positive mentality just to see if that will change anything in the latter stages of this one. We do get a late free kick with 3 minutes left, but to be fair, Liverpool have been just a little bit better in the second half. We've had some good chances, and Tomic did take a rather dicey one. It was actually a very good goal there from him, but unfortunately conceded 2 off the back of that, and it does mean we are likely to lose this one unless we get something going very, very quickly to get the ball back on the halfway line. And Mikel plays this one back to Quezada, yet again over the top for Tomic, and yet again he beats Alisson when really you'd expect Alisson to do a little bit better. That one close enough to straight at him, but can't quite get enough on it to keep it out the back of the net, and he was onside. So Renato Tomic will grab a double on debut for Cardiff City in the Premier League, albeit it might not amount to much. Definitely another one there which you'd expect Alisson to be saving, but it does give us a late chance in this one with 2 more minutes of injury time. We might even throw our guys onto attack off the back of that goal, but unfortunately we don't actually get the time to do that, and we are going to suffer a 3-2 defeat. Liverpool only a little bit better than us actually. I thought the stats were a little bit more heavily in their favour, but shots and shots on target slightly edging it towards them, as well as XG, so I suppose can't argue too much with that result. But at the very least we put up a good fight, especially in that second half once Renato Tomic did come off of the bench. Might be someone we need to start in our next game off the back of that performance, but it does mean that we do drop some points at home, albeit somewhat expected to a team like Liverpool, even though they were below us on the league table. Now they do sneak above us, and we drop down to 6th, but still in a pretty good position. We'll come back shortly and update you guys on those trips away to Fulham and Aston Villa before we get stuck into the second game of today's episode, hosting Manchester United. And here are the highlights from those games that we have played in between Liverpool and Man United. As you can see, unfortunately, Fulham there did get off to a good start at home, 1-0 in the first half, but then a iffy effort there from Stefan in goal from the penalty spot did mean that Farias grabbed an equaliser at the 72-minute mark, and that was right off the back of Diop getting a second yellow card to give away that penalty, which did mean we did play the last 20 with a one-man advantage. If you look at the XG match story, you can see that did definitely mean that we got on top for the later stages of that game, but unfortunately could not find a winner. But we do escape from Craven Cottage with a point, which is not too bad of a result away from home, even though it was a team down in the relegation zone, considering that we did rotate quite heavily for that one. And then we went to Villa Park to take on Aston Villa, and we played a bit better in this one against Roberto De Zerbi's men these days. He has joined them from Stoke City, and we got off to a good start here. Jacques at the 4-minute mark put us 1-0 up. But unfortunately, Dominguez not expecting that ball, and that gives Patrick Schick a chance to get in behind our defence. Also, Mexado comes out, doesn't get there, and that meant the scoreline was 1-1 going into half-time. Thankfully, we grabbed another goal to go in front at the hour mark. Yet again, Jacques there, this time through his head for a ball from Ben Hardy. But then with 7 minutes to go in this one, just as we did try and slow things down and play a bit more sensibly, yet again, Patrick Schick in behind. Mexado doesn't get there, puts it away, and that means it is a 2-2 draw away from home. So 2 draws since you were last here, albeit not bad results away from home. We continue to pick up some points, and that does mean we are still up there in the top end of the Premier League table, albeit have dropped down just a little bit to 7th place as we are about to take on Man United, and also some of those teams in and around us have a game in hand as well. So in theory, we could be dropping out of a European qualifying spot in a little bit of time. With that in mind, and also, as well as the fact that Lopetegui finally moved from Leicester City to West Ham, so that job is now open, albeit Leicester City for now do not want us. But another update on another potential takeover here at Cardiff City. The rumours persist, so maybe that is something that will happen over the course of the rest of this season. But next up for us is a 7th versus 8th clash on that Premier League table. So ideally this is a game that we will get some points from, albeit going to be tough ask as we do take on Manchester United these days, managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy. Still got players like Marcus Rashford and I suppose Dean Henderson at the club, albeit Rashford is actually injured for that one, which could help us out a little bit. But as you can see, they come into this one in a decent patch of form, albeit it's a little bit mixed considering they're playing in competitions like the EFL Cup still, the Champions League, as well as the Premier League, but they're the team just below us on the table, so ideally we will not drop points to these guys at home with their game in hand. And yet again for us, thankfully, no injury concerns as we do head into this one, albeit some players a little bit tired with the match load that we have had so far in the month of December, so it does mean some of them are going to get rested when they need it. So not quite our best 11 that are going to be playing in this upcoming one, but hopefully we can still grab some points at home. And we'll come back shortly with team sheets as we take on Man United. And here are the team sheets for the second game of today's episode. As I said, there are a few changes. Colwell at cam, also Rinomota is in for Quezada, and also our centre-backs have been rotated with both Urhoghide and McGuinness quite injury prone, so that means that both Nelson and Sharalabos will get a start, but hopefully still a strong enough team against a slightly weaker than expected Man United that can pick up some points here at home. And 10 minutes into this one, we get our first highlight, and we do have the ball on a balanced mentality. For now, we might actually switch that to cautious if things don't go away early. Good chance there for Timo Werner these days at Man United, but Yudagi Mexado comes up with a good save, which to be fair, he made a few of in the first half of that previous game against Liverpool. The corner, thankfully, they aimed at for Martinez, who to be fair, not the tallest player, so an FM not too threatening from those corners. And it is still 0-0 coming up to the 15-minute mark. And 20 minutes into this one, we get our next highlight is a throw in here to Man United. We have to switch to a cautious mentality off the back of that opening highlight and the run of play so far. And to be fair, good work there from Colwell to get the ball back. Plays a nice ball forward here for Marco Blum, but unfortunately that one is well off target. So still 0-0 about halfway through the first half. Albeit now we have a corner, which we put into the mixer, and Curtis Nelson puts that just past the post. So a few good chances for us there, but still 0-0. And that was it for the first half in this one, just those 3 highlights. And to be fair, we had the better chances, it did feel like. And as you can tell by the stats, we're actually getting off some decent shots with this cautious mentality. So it does seem like it is working, but unfortunately have not put the ball in the back of the net. So we go into the sheds locked up at 0-0. We'll just make one change here at halftime. Sharalabos on a 6.4 and also just picked up a yellow card. Also, I think we might give Marco Blum a few minutes in the first half to try and turn that rating around. But Urhoghide will come on for Sharalabos, and we'll see if we can get on top of Man United and get on the score sheet in the second half. We'll get things back underway, still locked up at 0. And nearly 10 minutes into the second half, we have a free kick here through El Bloshy. Just puts that one wide of that far post, but Marco Brun's rating is now down to a 6.3 just over 10 minutes into this half. So Tomic will come off the bench again and hopefully can have the same impact as he did against Liverpool. Still locked up though at 0. And up to the 68-minute mark now, we're going to make a few more substitutions. One wing back on a yellow card and one on a red heart. So Perry Ing and Mike Stovall will come on. 20 minutes left and still 0 in this one. And a few minutes off the back of that previous substitution, time for our last one. And there's Sully now down to a red heart. Marlene Jacques did quite well in that most recent game against Aston Villa, getting both goals, so he can come off the bench and hopefully grab us a winner late in this one. And finally, something else happening in the second half of this one. Up until the last 10 minutes, we have thrown here inside the final third. So we are having quite a few highlights here in our favour. Good chance for Jacques, but absolutely duds that shot wide from quite close to being dead in front of goal. And we now make our way into the last 5 minutes of this one. Still on a cautious mentality, as to be fair, it is working quite well for us in this game, albeit now that we do enter the last few seconds of this one, we might chuck now our deep-lying playmaker onto support. We already put Colwell onto attack and also just up the passing directness. And there is a late highlight in this one, hopefully in our favour, because to be fair, we have looked the better team throughout this game, but unfortunately just haven't had our shooting boots. So definitely a bit of an improvement from our last few games. Big chance there for Renato Tomic, but this time he also misses the target, and that might be it. Some really big chances there for us to grab a winner in this one late in the second half, but unfortunately both Jacques and Tomic have missed the target. And to be fair, Marco Brun had a decent chance in that first half as well. Man United, though, do win the ball from that clearance, albeit only a few seconds that should be left of injury time in this one. And thankfully, Curtis Nelson will tidy that one up. So it is going to finish in a 0-0 draw. So unfortunately, no goals in that one. But to be fair, quite a good defensive performance. So not too disappointed about that, especially against a team like Manchester United, for someone newly promoted from the Championship. But we continue to chip away here at Cardiff. Certainly a game we probably should have been winning, but I suppose we're in a good enough position where it doesn't hurt us too much. So we will take that 0-0 draw, even though we probably should have won that. And that should mean that for now, we do stay above Man United there, as they were below us going into that game, albeit they do still have that game in hand. So that could change before we do come back for the next episode. Also, Stoke City could actually go above both of us with a couple of games in hand. That would be surprising, seeing as we were a lot better than those guys in the Championship last season. But for now, we are still in a European spot off the back of a 0-0 draw against Manchester United. And back in the inbox off the back of some okay results during today's episode. 3 draws off the back of that loss to Liverpool. Definitely a game there which we probably should have won against Manchester United, but unfortunately, even though they put out an entirely foreign starting 11 and also brought on a New Zealander off of the bench, so maybe someone we need to try and pinch for us here at Cardiff City, but could not get the job done. But to be fair, actually played quite well. On that cautious mentality might be something we need to consider in our next couple of games. But that will do it for today's episode before we do get into the transfer window tomorrow and also play some games at the start of January. Those games which we are going to come back for right at the start of the month. We do take on Newcastle in the Premier League. That is off the back of games against West Ham and Wolves away and QPR at home. All games I would like us to pick up points from, because West Ham and Wolves currently right down near the bottom of the table, and QPR also down there, in a team that we did fairly well against last season when they were in the Championship. And off the back of that game away at Newcastle, we will enter the third round of the FA Cup in a potentially interesting tie there, as we do take on Forest Green, who these days are up there near the top of League 2. And also we will have the start of the January transfer window. Looking at our squad, as I've said over the past few episodes, I think centre-back could be an area where we could improve. Still got a couple of million in our transfer budget and quite a bit of wage as well off the back of selling Callum Robinson overseas just after transfer deadline day. And there are quite a few players now who do also want to leave the club. As of quite recently, if we're going to look at our dynamics, you can see Curtis Nelson, Connor Coventry, Keona Tete, who actually might be a player who, if he stays, we start to give some more game time off the bench, because to be fair, not too sure why we haven't tried him yet this season, apart from the fact he was injured at the start of it. Alex Patterson still wants to leave, as does Aaron Molinos, and all those players are worth a decent amount of money. So if we can sell those guys, all squad players at best, we could earn some money to try and strengthen that centre-back partnership, because at the moment our attack is actually quite good here at Cardiff City, third best, but goals conceded about middle of the pack. Could be the area that we do look to improve going in to the second half of the season. But if you did enjoy today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow for that Newcastle Forest Green double and maybe some transfer activity as well, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.